Google, because they have more of an open system, is there more you're not going to have as much censorship? You're going to have a lot of,
Maybe.
Well, but they censor too.
But again, it's
true. A while ago, a friend of ours, Michael Gartenberg, who's an analyst and a really smart guy, he found some Nazi themes, like themes for your Android phone that were Nazi themes in the Android market. And I wrote an editorial about it. And I think it's like, this is something that should be clear. This doesn't seem appropriate for me in an app store for a smartphone. At that level, if you want to sell the theme, you can have your own website. That's fine. But I think in Google's App Store, and they did take the stuff out, and they've removed other things as well. And there's no porn in there either.
To play devil's advocate, if we're saying it's free speech and it's just a store, you walk into a store, there are going to be all kinds of books, books on Satanism, books on just everything you can imagine. So I'm not going to sit here and say that I know which apps should and shouldn't be in the store, but I do think it's very interesting what we saw with Google. Google is like, oh, they're open, they're free, it's cool, you can have stores here and there, except if they find out that there's malware in some of the apps that have been delivered to your phones, they're going to do something that I've never seen before. They're going to reach all the way to your phone and remove or disable the app. And
you think it's a bad thing? Who wants malware?
I don't, but that shows you something, that it's like they're cool, they're easy, they're open, but they got this little kill switch.
Yeah. Well, your bookstore analogy, I just want to say something. I think it is like you walk into a bookstore and there's all kinds of stuff in it. But if I run a bookstore, I get to decide what kind of books I sell there, right? Now Google has to decide, and Apple has to decide what kind of books do I want to sell. Do I want to sell Mein Kampf?
Apple decides, Google theoretically
maybe
doesn't.
you do want to sell Mein Kampf.
I don't, but
no, there's nothing wrong with it.
Apple.
I knew I was going to say you'd say you were a Nazi at some point during this.
Apple decides, but Google doesn't. That's the thing.
But they do. But they do decide.
Well, they decide after the fact.
But will that decision ultimately, will that decision make one kind of rise above the other?
Well,
I don't think so. I think it's a question for there's so many companies getting into this space, hosting apps. It's a broader question. I don't know really what the right answer is. I do agree with Josh that I like to be protected. I don't want garbage. I'm not going to be able to look in the code and know if there's something bad in the app I just downloaded. I do like to be able to trust. It's actually what I love about the App Store. I'm being very honest here. The reason I like the Apple's App Store is that I don't even think about it.
Yeah.
I don't even imagine for a second I'm going to download something that could potentially harm the device I'm using it on. And I think that is a problem that Google is sort of halfway solving, but needs to solve, and anybody else getting into the space will have to solve.
Well, Google has the best of both worlds, though. They can say, this is our app store. Amazon just opened their own app store for Android devices, right? So anybody can do that. So if I'm the Satanist book guy, I can open the Satanist bookstore app, right? And app store. And you can get those apps. You can download them onto your device. I think the problem is for Google is, at what point does that become a problem for your users when you can just download an app from anywhere? And you actually see some devices now, like AT&T's Android devices, will not let you install an app from another app store. You can't get the you can't get the Amazon App Store on an AT&T device because AT&T says we don't want you to go to some other place to get these things.